Blog Talk Radio.
Hey everybody, we are live on air. Let's talk with Blog Talk Radio. I'm your host, Melissa. It is so good to be back on Blog Talk Radio. I've had a lot of stuff that's going on with my family. The new year has not been kind to us. My mother had to have a triple bypass surgery done. We lost one of the family pets. I'd had her for 11 years and she passed away. And then tragically, our family lost my nephew. And that was really, really hard to deal with. And then just 2 weeks after his death, on February the 14th through the 15th through the night, an ice storm here in Kentucky, and it was a nightmare. My son and my husband and I were actually running from one end of the house to the other because there were so many pine trees that were coming down just all over the place. And this went on for hours, all night long. And then whenever the sun came up, we could not believe what we were seeing. We had 71 trees down between the back loop from my mother's house to my house. We had 42 trees that were down between her yard and mine. Then from her house to my brother's cabin, there was an additional 31 or 32 trees down. And then from his house to the blacktop, there were 16 trees down. It was just a nightmare. It took us 2 days to cut ourselves out of this holler just to get one truck out. And at that, we were having to drive the truck slowly underneath some of the bigger pine trees that were leaning from the hillside over into the field. So we had to drive under them so that we could get to town, get supplies, try to help our neighbors, and check on them to make sure they were okay. The National Guard came like a week later to see if we were all right, and they could not believe we lived actually that far out of town. And their GPS had actually wasn't even working in the Humvee. It actually went out. And I told them, I said, the GPS goes out about 5 miles before you even come this way, but right after they checked on us, the very next night, all of Eastern Kentucky got flooded. And I mean a disastrous flood. People have lost everything they have. I'm sure you've seen it on the national news. And it has just been a horrible situation to have to deal with, and I'm very lucky that my family and I only lost a little bit compared to all the other people who lost everything. My heart and prayer goes out to them. So we've been through a lot. I finally got my utilities and my phone and my computer about a week, maybe a week and a couple of days ago. As I'm getting back online, and of course a lot of you know that I have been advocating for Jamie Johnson's case. And just as soon as I got back online, I've got stuff that's hitting my desk that's just unbelievable. I couldn't believe what I was seeing when some of the screenshots, people are sending me and stuff. And so tonight I'm going to be talking with Jamie Johnson. And she's here on the phone lines. And she and I are going to be talking about some of the cyber stalking that's been going on and how it has affected her and her family. And Jamie, are you there? I don't know if she's there or not. Hang on. Are you there, Jamie? Well, I've got her on the phone. Hang on. Hang on a minute. Something's going on. I think she's having some difficulties on her end. She was trying to find a headset. Let me send her a message, see what's going on here with her headset. Are you there, Jamie? Can you hear me? Hang on. She's there. She's having to call back in. Hang on. Let me get her to call back in and see what's going on. Okay. Bear with us. Everything on my end's working. Something's going on with her end, I guess, with her cell phone or I don't know what it is. Okay. We got a couple of people calling in. Hey, Jamie, are you there?
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Hey.
Great. Hello.
So I gave you an introduction there. I was wondering if you could, just kind of go into what all is going on with this stalker issue here. I mean, how many years have you been dealing with this?
Since 2018. 3 years, about three plus years at this point.
Mhm. Well, and
long 3 years, and very, very difficult. Lots of.
Hello.
Hello.
On air?
Yes, you are.
Yes.
And yeah.
Okay.
Hello.
I've got a question for Jamie. You say you've been dealing with this since 2018. And can you confirm or will you deny that you have went on live and plastered your whole life out there for the world to see, bad parenting and all? Would you confirm or deny that?
My whole life online,
and as for the
absolutely not. May I ask you, would you like to tell me your name and we could talk?
You don't need to know my name.
Okay.
I
am a public. Okay, wait a minute. You want me to
caller
ask?
number one.
Caller number one. You want me to deny or confirm if I put my whole life, bad parenting and all? No, ma'am, I have not. I have been a public
I beg
figure.
to differ with
wait,
you
wait,
because
wait. Would you let me
I
answer?
beg to differ with you simply because.
Okay, well, you didn't want to let me answer.
Everybody knows. Everybody.
Hang on, let's be nice.
Just
be nice. Now listen,
bad.
if you want to ask a question, you can ask a question, but we're not going to attack
Let me answer. Let me answer.
Well, go ahead.
Would you like
she
me to
already
answer
answered
that?
it.
Because
She said no.
And there's more to that. What I'll tell you what I am is a public figure. Have I done TV shows and shows
right.
and
You're
live?
a public speaker.
Absolutely.
So
is
as
your
a
opinion,
public speaker,
hang on.
Right, as a public speaker,
you keep interrupting
you should
me,
you put yourself out there for people's opinions.
To
good or
well,
bad.
now hang on, Jamie. When's the last time that you put anything out there, or even did a case where you advocated for?
I have not been online. I have a long
It doesn't
time.
matter. It doesn't matter. She's
it doesn't
enough
matter.
out there to where she's got herself in an awful sticks ever was. She's lost the kids.
That's your opinion,
You're just spinning your wheels trying to get them
to.
back for her because she won't ever get those kids back because she's already took it too far simply by not following CPS's guidelines and doing what she needs to do.
Melissa, do you understand? This is probably
I
and as far as the cyber stalking, is concerned, why don't you just call it what it is? It's a bunch of women gossiping in a group about a public, globally.
Not when it comes to my home.
No,
not when it comes to my home or its intent.
Public figure.
You don't know it all.
Well, I mean, when you put yourself out there as a public figure, you better be squeaky clean.
Go outside and play alone.
If you're going to put yourself out there,
you're not there to care for your kids. Get off
Wow,
that
you
This
can
is
do
not
Put the
just a little
goddamn
group of
video
people.
and become a mother
Ooh.
who want to keep
Now
up.
the truth
Because I'm
hurts.
gonna
The
keep
truth hurts.
tracking you, Jamie Johnson.
The truth hurts. Bring yourself
I
out
love
out
it,
onto the
Christine.
public platform again, and you're going to get the truth, whether you like it or not.
You know the truth, ma'am. You know the truth. Is that what you're saying? Off of a few hours of my life and your opinion? Do you have facts of this case? Do you have facts of who and what I do in my home? Now let me speak. Y'all want me to talk. You want to know the story. Well, then, you know what y'all's problem is? Y'all talk too much and you don't shut up ever. I am a public person, but that does not entitle anyone to come into my personal life and cause the problems that they have. You could gossip about me. You can say, but this is not that. And if you pay attention, and actually for once it's going to be put out there, then you would see that. You can form your opinion at the end, but you don't have all the facts. You don't have the truth.
Hello?
So don't speak to me about truth.
Jamie, we have another caller. You have a
Hi, Jamie.
Hi, how are you?
So I was listening. I called because, I heard the whole, when's the last time you posted online, right? And you said you haven't posted, and they said it didn't matter. That's the point. It doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. They will hunt her down and find anything. They will go to sources, talk them into sending them stuff that she said to them, or talk them into telling them this, that, and the other. That's what they do. That's what they've been doing. I've seen it
You're
firsthand.
absolutely correct. You're absolutely correct, and I appreciate your call. I have tried to, if anybody
It is
recalls,
literally stalking.
It is. It is stalking, and I don't know what other word to
I was
use.
in a private group, might I add, one previously of theirs, which was labeled as another name of something and a person that we were kind of all following and stuff. But literally every post in there was literally about Jamie or what Jamie did that day or what she said that day. And I was like, why is the group called XYZ for this person, but it's literally all it's stalking Jamie? I left, and that's when I got it. I was like, I left the group because I was like, this isn't what I came into the group for. It was for the other person and to follow their case, which they actually already had. And it wasn't to stalk somebody. That's just not my MO.
So you're saying
Jamie.
that you were in the
And I
didn't
didn't even like Jamie then. If I can say my name
Jamie.
right now, and she can tell you right now that I didn't even like her then.
Jamie.
Absolutely.
Okay, we have another caller.
Let the caller. Okay, let me
Yes, we
say
do.
something here. Okay, let me talk. Okay. Yes, many of you that did not like me because of the things that other people were saying before I ever lost my kids, before I ever had any problems, whoever had the problem with me started their reach into other people. So they were in a group, and I have had many of them come to me and state they went too far and left the group.
Right.
And this person specifically has gotten to know me, has actually been on the phone or been around hearing me parent my child and things like that. So for the people that are in those groups, not one of them has spoke to me personally. Not one of them has seen me in person or been part of my life. You know? So how can they say they know what's going on? Okay. Hello, caller?
Hello?
Yeah,
Hello?
go ahead, caller.
Hi, this is Danette. I'm Paisley Hudson's grandmother, and I've known Jamie for a little over 3.5 years. And yes, I have personally been around her. Yes, I have been around her and her kids. I haven't sit back and I don't know even what to say. The people that are judging her that have never met her need to sit down and back up and shut up. Seriously. Because you guys are so involved in all this drama, it is absolutely ridiculous. I find it completely disgusting and despicable. You guys have all this energy to sit, and yes, literally, so I've seen it, I've heard it, I've been around for, like I said, over 3.5 years. And I sat quietly in the background for the most part and just observed. And it's absolutely disgusting. None of those people are in this movement to do anything for children or to help anyone. It's a bunch of backbiting, a bunch of hate, a bunch of stalking. And if you pair with someone like Jamie, then, like I said, my personal experience with Jamie has been a pleasant one. All the bullshit everybody's telling, I don't know how I may need to watch my mouth. I'm really upset. And like I said, I kept my mouth shut for the most part, because when I did start standing up, I started getting attacked. And anybody that would try to stand up for her, they would get attacked. They'd start stalking them. They'd start causing them drama. Like, these people need mental help, every one of them. This has gone way too far a long time ago. And part of the reason that Jamie got her kids taken is because these relentless bitches were constantly calling CPS, taking turns in a big team. Excuse me, what do you get out of that? You know, I never witnessed her kids being in danger, not having food, not having clothes, shelter, anything. They have been relentless. I mean, imagine they've even called to have, like, her utilities shut off, and they followed her around. And when she'd go to the store, like, they would take pictures of her in the parking lot and send them to her. It is just relentless and dangerous. And what does that benefit any child? There are children stuck in this system that don't belong there. They are being sex trafficked. They are being, some of them murdered. But no one gives a shit about that. Oh, let's
like your dog, like your
what Jamie's doing today. Or let's go stop this one or that one. The ones that are really trying to make a difference, that's the ones they go hard and full on with. And it's just disgusting when you sit back and watch all of it. What enjoyment? What is, why is, I don't even get it. You know, if Jamie was just the most horrendous mother ever, maybe I could understand that. But that's not true. And you may have not seen her everyday single life. You don't see every single thing that goes on in her life from the time she wakes up to the time she goes to bed. You're judging her by what you see and heard from other people. And you let their opinion influence your opinion. So like I said, if you've never met Jamie in person, sit the fuck down and shut up. Seriously.
And I'm going to say Jeanette has every reason to be upset. Her granddaughter was killed.
Absolutely, I do.
And her grandson was almost killed in this system.
Now, I explain how I know Jamie. Okay, we had it. We're in Madison County. In the year of 2018, there were 5 toddlers that were murdered by parents' hands in this county, one of which being my granddaughter. I am the paternal grandmother of Paisley Hudson. You can look up my story. It's on Justice for Paisley Hudson on Facebook and Justice for Smiley Riley Hudson. That's my story. And you know what? Because of Jamie and her encouragement and her backing, she would come and offer to take me to court or just spend time with me when I was grieving. And was a genuine good person. And then you have Jennifer Brown and Nikki, whatever the hell her last name is this week, bouncing over here 2 weeks after my granddaughter died, was brutally murdered. My head is all over the place. And all they're caring about is coming over here talking trash about Jamie, but never the whole time they were here did I ever see an ounce of proof from them. They have a lot of woo, Jamie this, Jamie that, I got pictures, I got video, and every time I would pause them to see their evidence, because I'm an open-minded person. They didn't show me nothing, just a bunch of woo, and this. I didn't see no proof, fact, or evidence. And all they seemed to care about, in my opinion, was because they were supposed to be, my son was getting ready to sue the state, and they knew that was a big money ordeal. And that's what they did with Jack. So we'll leave that one alone. I'll let him talk about it. But not once did I get any, genuine concern or someone to talk to or be there or whatever. It was as soon as I didn't choose their side, then, oh, she's the bad one. Excuse me? Excuse me.
Jeanette.
And they own a foundation. No excuse for Child Abuse Foundation. They're the founder and co-founder of that, and they're in a bullying hate group. Let that sink in a little bit, if you will.
Can I step in here?
That was a concern of mine also.
Wait a minute. Melissa, let me talk for a minute, please.
Yeah.
Let me get a little background here. Well, don't know that are just listening where this started. Why Jennifer Brown and Nikki would even know me. I started a foundation with Nikki Whistler in 2017, went public 2018 in January, called Family Rights Protection Foundation. When the Harlan Haynes case came up, I have investigated with our organization, many of those 5 cases. We did 3 of those cases, one being Harlan, one being the next family, and then another one. Jennifer Brown came in, and we pulled her in, and pretty much was our right-hand lady. She wants to say partner. That's not the case. It was basically more like, a management and helping us. Those 2 and were involved in trying to make a difference, I thought. We did some runs. We did some, protesting. We did some searches for young girls. But let me tell you who was mostly involved, the one doing it. That was me. I was the one investigating. I'm the one that did all that. But all of a sudden, when I came back from Jersey, there was a difference of opinion. Unfortunately, Nikki's daughter did pass away. She was family to me, to us. The whole family was. And that then became a problem because Miss Brown decided, for some reason, to cause and stir trouble. I don't care what she says. She wants to sit here and say that I was yelling at her. I was then all of a sudden accused of X, Y, and Z, exploiting the baby, this and that. Yeah. Whoever got to them, which I fully believe is Nancy, Miss Furman, is the one that got to them.
That's not her real name.
And then all of a sudden they hated me and told me what a horrible person I was and how much I had done. Then it became them going after their own foundation. I have had to shut down everything that I did. Every person
they even hacked your foundation page. They even hacked your foundation page and started posting inappropriate, just disgusting comments. I mean, it was relentless. Absolutely relentless.
That's not opinions when you do that. When you take and you capture my pages through somebody that else was supposed to be a friend. They have not only
There's a lot of moles in this group. There sure is.
I've learned that too. And people that I loved and cherished. So not only have I lost the foundation, and they have one now, I believe, my opinion is in with the help of Miss Furman. Miss Furman has honestly been the big problem here in her relentless, why? Why, Miss Furman? Why, Miss Furman? What have I done to you? How can you judge me? Right here, you first said, stop advocating.
Seriously, they were seriously mentally ill because I remember when all of that was going on. And we were all genuinely on the edge of our seats, like hoping for the best for her daughter. Like we wanted updates and everything. And when they were up there, this was okay with, Jamie stepping out and giving everybody updates about her daughter. Like we were really concerned and like they were struggling financially and everything. And like then all of a sudden after it's all over with, she had 3 runs for her daughter, which her funeral was already paid for by the community, so I'm not sure why she needed 3 motorcycle runs for what. And you know what she says it's for that she's got put up in some kind of fund. I'd love to see those receipts, honey. I sure would. But anyway, then all of a sudden they twisted around and said that Jamie was trying to exploit her daughter for money and all that stuff, and that's absolutely not true. You know? And, I mean, it was just constant, the hate-mongering and just the backbiting and just, they were just hell-bent on destroying you. And it's ridiculous. Like,
and they won't.
Stop the madness.
Let me make that clear.
And put that type of energy into helping these kids that don't have a voice. For the love of God.
They won't destroy me. I've had to change my whole
life. And Danette, I'd like to say something too that you forgot because this is something that really pissed me off. Was like I think it was a court case for maybe the murder. I'm not sure exactly what it was for, but they had Joe Biden taking pictures of her at your house to post them all over online.
Yes.
And you know what? Let me explain that. Let me explain that. Coincidentally, I don't believe
I'm
in
just saying
coincidences.
that's very, consoling, right? That's like very something you would do for somebody whose granddaughter was just brutally murdered.
Yeah,
It gets better.
Point. But this how you going to do that?
Hang on. Let's not talk over each
around
other.
The corner from me. I literally took pictures and video and showed Jamie exactly that she lived right straight half a block down from me and back around this house and across the field across the alley. She stood right there on the corner of that house and looked down here and tried to say it was her granddaughter that did that. I don't even know her granddaughter, and I don't know if Jamie does or not, but how you going to let your granddaughter act like that and then you post it on your little hate group or whatever? Really? Yeah. Yeah, that no excuse for child abuse. As long as you go along with them, you won't get like doxxed and stuff. Well, then I threatened to do the same thing again, and she moved.
Can I elaborate on this situation? This has happened to me, guys. So, the pictures. Number one, they were done in real time. Me and Danette were sitting in that house. You remember how I reacted, Danette? I was scared to death to walk out your front door, and hours.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
They did not. Yes. If that is not stalking, that's opinion. Not only that, but in your case alone, let's talk about what happened to me in court.
The neighbors.
Do you remember what happened to me in court?
No.
Do you remember what happened to me in court? Well, let me explain what they did, guys, whoever's listening. When I went to support my friend, that case, and two little kids said, yes, I had come to love. I ended up on the stand, in this murder trial because they contacted the court and said something that was not true. They made it sound like I was doing filming in the courtroom where I was then put on the stand, put under oath, and a list of being in contempt of court. And then had my phone banned. I was there for support and to report. And I was stopped because of that. Now, this is the same thing that happened to Jersey.
The humorous part about this, and to let you know, just yet another lie, flat-out, bold-faced lie, that supposedly they said they had a little spy in the courtroom, and they saw this, they saw that, and all that. Well, apparently they did not, because we didn't have a court that day. We had a continuance. And we sat and talked to the prosecutor and also mentioned to her a lot of these things going on. Then we left. They put it on there in real time that said she was dressed like a floozy, she was in the courtroom shaking her tit or whatever it was, just a bunch of lies. Because we didn't even have a court hearing that day. And then they said she was dressed this way. No, she wasn't. She was dressed appropriately. They're to support me. Yeah, that's really someone that needs to be running a foundation for child abuse, huh? Let that sink in.
And this, and like I said, a lot of this is just one incident. And I don't want to get too stuck on one thing because there's so much. But this is the extent that these people will go to. They are taking what right? I showed the judge my phone. I did not have what they said. I made some mistakes, guys. I did what I did because I was trying to help, because there was nobody. There was nobody trying to help. When I did that.
There's only a small handful of people that over the last 3.5 years that I have sat back and observed that I would absolutely trust that are really doing and making a difference. And that's it. Just a handful where you have all these, I don't know, maybe hundreds of people in these BS groups and this, that, and the other, and it's like, you have to find your own path. There isn't someone, other than a lot of the ones that are trying to hustle people out of money and sell books and stuff like that. Like, you got to do it yourself. You got to be somewhat a degree of your own advocate, especially if that person isn't making any money. I found that out through what I had to do. There were times that I didn't feel comfortable, and they also threatened Jamie and said, she was the one in here. Excuse me? Who the hell are you to say that? But dox my house and then say that, put pictures of her van and say that she wasn't welcome here. She was terrified to leave here. And there were times after that I was uncomfortable inviting her to come with me because I didn't want her to be harmed. It's something I'm afraid because I'm not. I've been through hell and back. There's nothing they could do to me that hasn't already been done to me. I'm on a mission, and they won't stop me. Not at all. You know, I will change things around here, and the way this shit's handled, and these kids getting down, I'll die trying. And they are the least of my worry. I don't cater to that stuff. That's high school, he said, she said, next. You know, just aside. Because it's clear where they're at.
Okay,
You guys
I have
see the effect
two
that it
more
has
callers.
on others?
Hang on.
Mm-hmm.
I have two more callers. 858. Do you?
Yes.
You're the first one. I have two more. So, do you have a question or comment?
Yes. Hi. I'm here to join the shouting match. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
This is the shouting match, right?
Well, it's become that because, you know what, after 3 years of frustration and silence, it kind of comes out that way. Yeah, sure.
And I was just about ready to say that, you know, it's, do you understand, people listening, do you understand that this doesn't just affect me? This has affected other people.
No.
So,
and they don't care.
Thank you for calling, and we'll get worked up, we'll calm down a little bit, thank you, but it'd be easier to point that out in maybe a little bit nicer way. But I appreciate you doing that. Thank you.
But what is your comment
I
or
have
statement?
a question for Melissa.
Okay.
I wanted Melissa to address the rumor I heard that she was trafficking children.
Are you serious?
Who's trafficking children? That who's trafficking
here we
children?
Go. Showing the stupidity. I'm gonna
now, hang on. Hold on. I'm not understanding the question here. Hang on.
Something. Okay, ma'am, I'm an open-minded person. Do you have facts, proofs, evidence, receipts that back up that claim? Because if you do, okay, let's hear it. Because I don't go for that at all.
Nuts. That's what backs up that claim.
What? I didn't hear. Hang on, everybody. I'm going to mute you. Hang on. I want to talk to the caller. What do you talk about with trafficking children? That question was directed to me. I had never trafficked any child.
That as a family rights advocate, you are trafficking children.
Would you like to state your name?
Deez.
Of course not.
My name is Deez. Deez Nuts.
Oh, my God.
Next.
Okay, that's Laurel. I mean, that's a ridiculous statement to say that I have trafficked children. That is insulting, and you are off.
Dear, if you don't come with facts, proof, and evidence, it doesn't mean anything. Dear, I could say that I am the heiress to the throne online. That doesn't make it so. That's the problem. Anybody that's
somebody calling in,
they start stuff like that about.
That's ridiculous.
That is a mighty. Hello.
I would like to
talk
about
on you.
Can I talk?
Go ahead.
Can you hear me, Melissa?
Yes, I can.
Okay, let's first address this. Do you see how silly and immature, first of all, that sounded?
Yeah.
We're talking about something that has nothing to do with that, but you want to take the focus off that. Number two, let me tell you, I have a couple people in my life that have helped me, and Melissa did start off not really liking me either, didn't you, Melissa? But Melissa,
that's true. That's absolutely true.
Right.
Yes.
Because of the lies and the deceit and some things that were twisted. However, Melissa does have knowledge and has helped me in those things that I didn't have or needed for my own case. I would
Nobody in this movement
do I
is
know
the same.
her?
Let's get that out there
do
real
I know
quick.
her whole life?
Nobody.
Absolutely not. I don't know her whole life. But I know what type of person she is, and I know the fact of her being an advocate to me. That was absolutely ridiculous and just confirmed the level that these people will go to.
Those are really serious allegations to make about someone. Especially
let's not even say the allegations are serious. Let's just say that that's a very serious subject in general to have the next claim being that your name is Deez Nuts as the follow-up to a very serious that's a very serious topic already.
Allegation,
without
yes,
anybody
it is.
being, even without anybody being accused. Sex trafficking is a very serious
Yes.
topic
Yes.
in general. For you to turn around and just say, "Oh, my name is These Nuts," to talk about something so serious, to say
you can do
These Nuts. I'm
You know,
sorry.
you can Google it.
You
Depending
lost
on
me.
the state, depending on the state, 75 to 85% of all children that are sex trafficked come through the Department of Child Services. And you can even Google that. Let that sink in.
Well, and
Everybody
that right there is
and-
no different
No.
than the people that run around calling everybody a pedophile, and it takes away from the real victims who are trying to get justice and get their voices heard.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Sorry.
In all
This
of
is a
this,
real thing. There are children
In all of
suffering,
this,
and you
guys-
got these nuts out here.
Right.
Come on.
right?
Next.
In all of this, all this thing
Right.
is doing is harming other people, and you're trying to beat down and ruin the reputations. Let me tell you, people.
They're
Yeah,
trying
that
to
was a hit on my reputation.
Hold
I get
on.
a word in edgewise for real.
Hello,
Some of them
Go ahead.
Some work for the Department of Child Services.
can I get a word in edgewise?
I don't know. Maybe you can.
Can I get a word in
ahead.
edgewise, please?
Yeah, go
Is
ahead.
this these nuts again?
Okay. No, this is not these
Everybody
nuts.
thinks your name?
Hashtag I am Nancy. Hashtag I am Nancy. I just want to let y'all know that this show is it's turning into a real shit show.
Well, first of all, you're not Nancy. We never
y'all know
will.
that.
I guess
Whatever.
that would matter if I gave
I'm
a shit
sitting here
about your
laughing my
opinion,
ass
but I
off at
don't.
all of you.
That's that
But
bitch up.
hashtag
Give
I
that
am
bitch
Nancy.
name.
Peace out.
Hi, Felicia.
Wow.
Nancy first. Yeah, that's not her. Come with your real name. I'm all real. You can everything I told you. You can look right up right now. Now, I fully expected to be retaliating, but that's
Well,
okay.
that wasn't Nancy.
Hey,
Hang
what
on.
I'm doing.
Hang on. Hang on.
What I'm
This
doing.
this is Nancy.
Hold
Hang
on a
on.
minute.
Yes,
Hold
Jamie
tight.
Johnson, I am the voice for your kids because you don't know how to be. You ignore them. You feed them shit. They go outside and play alone and get
I'm
attacked by
sorry, we missed
dogs.
her name. What was
You're
her
not
name?
there to care
What's
for
her
your
name? I'm
kids.
sorry, what's her name?
Get off
What's your
fucking
name?
Facebook. Quit the
What's
goddamn
your name?
videos
What's
and
your name?
become a mother if you want to
What's
keep
your
them.
name?
Because I'm going to
What's
keep
your name?
track of you, Jamie Johnson.
What is your name? What is your name?
Mm-hmm.
What is your name? And who are you? That's what I thought.
Well, how are you
was a
such an
clip. That's
advocate for
actually
kids
Nancy's
that are
voice.
in Indiana and you're in New York? I'm just saying, how do you know their lives and every day? You're in New York. Come on.
They don't.
Okay, so
They're all in the same plan together. They're all in that TNA or whatever this week it is. They're all in that clan together. That is statewide.
Okay, we
I'm
have
just saying,
another caller.
maybe if she was like Jamie's neighbor and actually could see more day-to-day life, but she lives in New York, so I just don't understand. She sees like little live videos a couple hours a week and thinks like she knows it all. It just makes no sense.
Yeah. Like I know her personally. They don't get that. I guess you guys need to watch more reality shows on TV and think those are real too.
You're okay, baby.
Hang on, we have another caller. It is the 765 number.
Local, yeah.
Do you have something to say?
I just wanted to say Jamie is a really good mother. And I love you, Jamie.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And that is somebody that does have, I know who that is, and that is somebody that's seen me not only with my kids, but her kids. And the whole point of this is that it's not just about what I do, because it's about the cyber stalking today. I mean, I have a lot to this story. But this has been just such a heavy load on top of allowing me to just live my life. You know?
Tell them about the Florida trip. That's where we did our first live at, and I put them on blast then too.
I mean,
That's the closest I ever did, and I've only done 2.
Look,
So
I mean, not only in Florida, there's the things that they have taken, and it's not just me, guys. It isn't just me. They are doing this to other people, to this extreme.
Well, they care so much about your children, but yet when you were in Florida with your children, they put in real time what hotel you were staying in, and you care so much about Jamie's kids.
They
That's
put
dangerous.
my kids on a hate site. Let me tell you something, guys. The entire issue here, I want everybody to stop for just a moment. Please be quiet. I want you all to think about my children. My children.
Exactly.
Okay? My children are suffering to this day. My children
They
were
want to come home.
They were
want to come home.
They were safe. They were fed. I don't care what you all think. Off of a few hours a day. When my kids were at school and in bed, I tried to do things. But I have a right to raise my children, but they have even more rights to be allowed to be left alone. And for some woman that does not know my children to say she is the voice of them, she is in no way the voice of my children. No way.
She needs mental health is what she needs.
Me and her dad and our family. And right now, my other family member is taking care of them, and they want to come home. I have done nothing to neglect my children. Am I perfect? No. I will never be perfect because there is no perfect. But I have never, even in these court records that they're putting out there, there is a story within itself there. And it is not. Melissa can speak to this. What happened in that court was not okay either. But it is what it is, and I am doing all I can. And for the lady that said I will never get my kids back, watch.
I'm talking on a lot.
Just watch.
Are you outside?
And when you do, stick those words right in your mouth. Because nobody has a right to tell me or say that I'm not getting my kids back when they don't know. None of them. These people have sent every video, made up things, pictures, and all kinds of stuff to my caseworkers. They have tagged the police department. They make me fearful of the police and of authority. They have been heightened.
Tried to make you look crazy, and they were really trying to make you look crazy. And they really were.
Right, and that's funny. Does anybody have my assessment? Hey, Jennifer Brown, do you have my assessment for my mental assessment? Seems to me you have all kinds of stuff. How? Why?
Illegally, I might have.
Well, that's what I wanted to talk about there. And let's get back to, the screenshot that I was sent where Jennifer is saying, this stays right here. Hi, court's on lunch, but not going good for Jamie. She's getting up and leaving court, trying to fire her attorney. Lots of laughs, as if that's a real joke. And best part is Tracy's attorney hasn't even got to her yet. Should be great. She's burying herself. That's what I want to talk about with Jamie, okay? Because
is that not
Jennifer had actually, hang on, Jennifer had actually responded to that screenshot, said she'd called her attorney, and he just laughed at it. Now, Jamie, let's talk about this. Why is this not a laughing matter? And what rules have they busted? I mean,
well, first
that was a closed
how is it a laughing? Hold on.
They're on lunch. And who were the five? Who were the people that swore themselves in that morning before lunch? Before lunch
would be all of our attorneys. Would be my attorney. It would be the actual head of the public defenders, which is my ex-husband's attorney. It would be my the CPS attorney, Brad, and it would be the caseworker, Angela McFeely, myself, and my ex-husband. And
that's right, folks. This is not a public hearing. It's not like you could have went into the courtroom. This was done on a Zoom feed, and the people that were there before lunch, whoever that was sending that to Jennifer, those people are in trouble, and we will be looking into that with the judge's office. I want everybody to know that. because
Attorney
this
General
is
should know
highly
that.
illegal. You cannot do that
Yes, it is.
in a closed hearing. And so, Jennifer, you're not off the hook. And not only that,
Sure.
why are you
Right.
getting someone within the realm of the court to give you information? That's called cyber stalking. So I'm not so sure your attorney needs to laugh at that, okay? Because this is not a laughing matter at all.
Well, I'm not
This is
to
serious.
interject. A lot of that stuff that they say, and we proved it that day when they tried to make that post saying Jamie's up there acting like a floozy, dressed like a floozy, and all that. Like I said, we didn't even have a court that day. But there was literally after everyone left and everyone was accounted for, to know that it was rescheduled. It was literally Jamie, myself, and the prosecutor, Mary Ann, that was standing there talking. Literally no one.
You're talking about my case. This is my
right.
case.
But what I mean is
this
that
is my
a lot of times they like to just make up things.
Right.
So they, just...
They weren't making anything up in this one. This time, I'll say that. Did I have problems with my attorney? Absolutely. You know why? Because my attorney did not, in my opinion, did not even offer a defense. That is why I'm where I'm at. Yeah. Number two, did I get up and walk out? Yeah, I did. Because you have no say on Zoom. When you're in Zoom, it's totally different than the courtroom. I didn't even have the ability to speak to my attorney during the hearing for the first few minutes until I stopped and wrote a note inside of the Zoom to the court stating, hey, I'd like to talk to my attorney. The entire time, my attorney did not respond to any of my messages. This is a public defender, guys, and this is where most of us are because we can't afford anything else. We still are entitled to that right. However, there's only these people of the court. Now you're going to tell me my attorney did it, or their attorneys did it, or who did it? Who gave Miss Brown that information in real time? That is the problem.
That's right.
That is what needs to be investigated. And I've been saying this. In my opinion, I know who I believe it is. In my opinion, CPS's caseworker, from day one of showing up at my door, that she lied on the stand, not just in the court papers and on the stand what she had recorded, but while on the stand, made an entire new phone call to fit what she needed because of what they did wrong was a complete lie. And I'm going to say this, she knew it, and so did my ex-husband. My ex-husband knew it was a lie because it pertained to him, but they just continued, and they allow that in. So for me, I fully believe from day one, from her lying about me being a certain way at the door, me acting a certain way, for her going to my children and using lies and deceit and saying exactly, my kids supposedly said exactly what these trolls say the entire time. That is a problem. There is a breach of confidentiality here, and it is a problem. And somebody needs to address that. It is illegal for anyone to give that information out in such a way like that. Can I talk about my case plans and things like that? Yes, I am allowed to talk about. I am allowed. Every single meeting that we have, everybody is sworn to the confidentiality rule, and they are not allowed to go anywhere and speak on that case if they were in that meeting or hearing.
That's right.
That's what we have here.
Absolutely.
That's what we have.
You need to make sure the
nothing to do
Attorney
with
General
anybody
is
attacking me or anything. This is a problem, and it needs to stop.
Absolutely.
And if that's the case, what is the point? What, Miss Brown? I would love for you to come on and me ask you, Nancy, where are you now? Why don't you come on and tell me what is your point? You think that I go out and I let my kids play outside by themselves? My kids they're of age to sit in their backyard. And I have neighbors that watch them. I do not allow my kids to go anywhere that they're not safe. I remember being a kid and going down to the local, little store and riding my bike down, and There are certain ages that kids have there's never been a police run here that has been a concern of my child. There's been her child's missing. Her child has an injury that looks suspicious. Nothing. And as for food, the lady said, I put my life online. Yeah, go back and watch the videos. My home, I'm cooking, and I'm living in it. And you see, I'm not a hoarder. Am I a collector? Yeah. I got knickknacks. I got lived-in house with kids and toys. But I cook for my kids. My pantries are full.
Jamie,
on a cot.
Yeah.
Speaking about the hoarder situation, that was one of the initial call-ins on that.
Yeah.
You know, as an advocate, one of the things that had always bothered me about it was, you know, the initial intake worker could have very easily checked with the county attorney records or the courthouse records or whatever, that, you know, if there was ever a county letter that had ever been sent to you, that there was a hoarder situation or a neighborhood or your HMO or whoever had turned you in for any of that, you know, and that would have been very easy to check for her to have checked that. And there's nothing on record because I looked.
As well as they've already been in my house.
And then she comes out and does the official face-to-face, you know, contact with you. The other part of that is, okay, you're a hoarder, now you're a drug user. That was the initial call. Well, you know, all she had to do was really, I mean, honestly, look at your teeth. Jamie has really nice set of teeth, and most of the parents that I work with that are in a severe drug addiction problem, you know, they don't have pretty teeth. You know, so that alone, to me, that threw up some red flags for me right there also. Let's go back a little bit further, Jamie, because they had called on you before. Is that correct? Yes.
Yes, they've called on me before.
Talk a little bit about that and how that ended up. And you did warn CPS that you had online stalkers at the time. Is that correct?
It is, yes, and it is documented from day one with the police department and CPS that was happening, that they announced it, that they were going to call. They went in these groups and they made arrangements and they did call. With that, the first one, I had an appropriate caseworker. He respected my rights, and it was unfounded. My kids were seen both times physically, and the second time I was compelled. Now, also, let's when they did that one, they came out here, and I did state, I will show you my children in front of the police department. I contacted the police to have them here when that happened. And when that happened, I allowed her to physically view my children and ask basic questions. She then tried to ask questions in regards to details about drug abuse and, you know, stuff like that. I found it very inappropriate for an untrained, you know, person who is not a psychologist, who is not trained in children's psychology or anything, to then interview my children. What I did is I told her to go and seek an order if that was the case. And I knew ahead of time she would be filing the compel. They did. When that happened, I was allowed to go to court, and I was allowed to at least put forth some type of motion, which was very professional. No, I'm not an attorney, but trust me, it was done to a T, who rushed it up for my rights. There was no injuries. There was no actual proof. All they had was hearsay of what I knew to be a hate group. When that happened, I was compelled under this judge, and I set up some guidelines. I asked the judge when she compelled me to let me have some things, a safety, you know, requirements to allow me and my family to still be, you know, safe with CPS. What happened was it was set up through me that my police department, the person I contacted was a police officer that I am able to have a reasonable working relationship with. He was here. I was compelled on 2 different days. The first day, I was compelled to allow them in my home to see where my guns were. Indiana State does not have any guidelines as to how you are to store your guns. However, my guns are stored properly. They are in safes, and they did have locks on them. They came in. They also were to see my home. That is exactly what they did. They saw the home, the area where my children sleep, which is upstairs. So the whole downstairs was viewed, as well as every other room except for my bedroom. Then they left, no issues, no problems. Then they came back when my children returned from vacation and interviewed my children in the presence of these officers. It is all on body cam and car cam. I have that. They interviewed my children, and it was done. My children let them know they knew what being safe was. Their testimony was completely different than what supposedly Miss McFeely wrote that my children said. Now, I had a right to not have my children interviewed this time. I did ask for them to be compelled. But there's also been a couple runs here from the police department, not too far ahead of when this happened, when the police department has been in my home. Not one time, even if any of these calls, not one time has anybody ever questioned my home and contacted the CPS to tell them through the department, through law enforcement, that I am a whore. I mean, I'm walking around on my floor right now. My counters, have a few dishes, but there's no food, no dishes, no up to the ceiling. I may have a junk room like everybody else does, but that's it. And my kids might mess the house up, but in no way has it.
Your house is lived in when the children are there. I mean,
absolutely.
They were just relentless with it. They would call and just make up accusations. And and then they try to make James look crazy because let's think about it. Put yourself in her shoes. How do you feel if you're out here trying to help other people and advocate, and you have fictitious calls being made to police and DCS and everything else, and they're showing up at your house? It gets very frustrating. And then, of course, all the stalking and the doxing and harassment, that would affect anyone's mental state, where somebody's just coming after and after and after them, and what for?
And that's what I wanted to ask you about, Jamie, is how has this affected you and your family with all this cyber stalking that's went on? I mean,
look, I want to say,
tell the truth.
I went from being very, Jamie, I went from being a very outgoing person. I went from wanting to do everything I could to help people to now I'm definitely very withdrawn. I used to love coming on, and I love comedy, and I love doing shows. I was in that type of line of work before I ever got there, and I felt that it was good for my soul. I have become depressed. I feel very, very hard to trust anyone because of the circumstances that have happened and how many people they have turned on me. And yes, it is turned because I'm a kind person, and I have a hard time still saying no, but I can't help the people I want to help. I can't be there for the people I want to be there. And not only that, but I have to watch everything I say, do. I have now no relationship with my certain family, including the father of my children, which if people are on here could remember, we co-parented. We went to Halloween together one year and I was on live. We went to, that was every year, where I have both my ex-husbands, my older son, my 2 young ones, my oldest daughter, her husband, my grandbabies, all with my mom and dad. And we all were in one place. We did Christmases together.
So you were able to maintain.
We went to Florida.
You were able to maintain a friendship with your exes on behalf of the children.
Yes, absolutely. And now.
I mean, Tracy lived there for how long?
Tracy lived here for a year when I got sick.
Oh, okay.
And here's the thing.
Which
now
was which was recently. I mean, not like as of like this year, but I mean,
it's
not that long ago.
When all this went down. When all of this went down. That he was living here right before then. He was here over, it would have been 2019.
Well,
right
and if I can
end.
say, something I noticed that had changed also when all this started going on, and it was really hard to kind of keep the lid on it because it was getting so bad. Something that I noticed myself also, which was so sad, was that Chloe had even started, kind of reclusing. She was scared to even play in the yard, in the backyard. She didn't know if somebody was going to be on the other side of the yard or the fence taking pictures
of
to put
her
online, and just crazy stuff. And it was very sad. She's a child. She can't even play. But let it be said though that these people or that person, whatever, is the voice of her children. Her children were petrified to be kids and play in their own backyard because of this.
Yeah, Jamie, you was that
we
weirdo
had
guy.
somebody threatening to molest my children. Wait a minute.
Who was that?
Let's get the seriousness. They threatened, and that's all lie, where the police came and made a joke of it. These people, now you tell me, why did her kids know? Oh, my God, she's opened these kids up to this unsafe world. No, I did not.
No, she had to tell them certain different things to keep them safe because we're taking pictures of her house. They were taking pictures of her car at a grocery store. Yeah. So they were there in their real life. She had to tell them some things for safety.
Absolutely. My daughter and my son are suffering now. They are suffering because they have now been ripped from their home. Every friend, they cannot even play with the two little kids, the twins that are next door that they've known. And I may have to move. Wait, I am moving because I can never trust the safety of my kids here. And that is known by my daughter. And she is sad. She is losing two little kids that she's known for 8.5 years. She hasn't seen hardly no time with her brother, her older brother. Now they've split me from my oldest daughter and my grandson. And yes, there was a time they saw them, but now they don't. They don't get to go to their grandma Gigi's, who's 94 years old and going to pass. Where does it stop? Where does it stop that my kids aren't the ones suffering? I'm a big girl.
And I would like to, say, yeah, they are immensely suffering now, but they have literally been suffering since this group of these people started this nonsense.
Yes.
Now it has exhaled to real life to where they're taken from their house, but yet before that, even when they were at their house, they were petrified because of these people who say they're the voice of her children. I mean, get serious.
This isn't for me tonight. This isn't for me. This is for my kids. So whoever's listening,
and that's why
you need to really look into your heart, and you need to really think about what you're doing.
Your mental health.
Leave my family alone. It is time for all of you that do have evidence against the ones that are doing this to me. I'm so tired of everybody standing back. And they know what they're doing. They see it and they have it. And yet you all still sit on it. You don't sit on something that could help end the suffering of a child and a family. You have torn my family apart. If you hate me, hate me. I don't care.
Right.
But when you start affecting the lives of not just me, but our entire family, you got a problem. There's been some main people. And unfortunately, I don't understand the rest of you. The rest of you that continue. Now, look, there's some other people out here that are getting the same thing, the same group. Look, I don't care if you like somebody. It is not, you are not judge, juror, and executor. You don't get to make a decision on what we're doing. If you have a problem with us, handle it appropriately. Don't go and I've been body shamed. I've been called all kinds of names. Whore, slut. I've been accused of doing X, Y, and Z. None of you know. None of you know who I am. And you know what that does? It affects everything about me.
Well, and here's the thing is, I think the reason that a lot of people won't leave that whole, toxic group and stuff after they've got so deep in it is because look at the ones who did before or who said, like, oh, actually, I'm probably going to leave. This isn't for me. Like, this is, like, completely stalker. That's not what I joined for, like I did. And, like, look what they do. Then you're the target as well as everybody else.
Right.
Like,
That's right.
like, I kind of thought maybe, like, okay, well, if I'm the target now, you know what I mean, that'll take the target off of Jamie's back for maybe a minute because now I'm the target, but that's not how it works. They spread it out, and they just target everybody.
Right. Well, I've had some
Speaking
ladies
of targeting,
in the community
Melissa,
that have came to me in that group when it started out, and they personally told me, they said between me and you, and it's off the record, I'm not naming names, but they're petrified to stand up because they don't want to be retaliated against. They don't want their businesses messed with. They don't want, all the things in their life.
Or them sending police and GPS into their real life.
So imagine what that does to me, guys. Let's get that. They're all afraid. So imagine what that does for me. That gives me nothing. No backing, no nothing, and they want that. They want to alienate me. They even now are attacking the relationship I have now. They're attacking my relationship with my children. They've even so far. They will get in any voice.
Family. They will message that. They will
a chance. My church, my church in Florida. Relationship. My grandma fears for me. My mom and pops have to deal with it, and my kids. So much tried to say that I've lost all of my children. That is incorrect. That is not correct.
Right.
Okay? I want to speak very highly of one of my children who is of age, who I've been told, hate me, and, he was raised by his dad. Let me tell you something. My boy, he got all kinds of me in him. And then my boy, when time came, he was there for his mama.
That's
because
right.
I did what was right for my son. Y'all want to talk about what's in the best interest of your child? I did that. I didn't just throw my kid away. I didn't just shove him off to his daddy. I made sure my son was in the most appropriate place for his success. My son is 19, graduated from high school with honors. But do not mistake him. That boy is like me just as much as he's like his dad. I have a great working, relationship with his dad. His dad and I are friends, and that's the way it should be, and that's the way I was taught whenever situation. I've been through a lot in this marriage, divorce, and family. And my main goal is to make sure that my children have the best of both parents and family. So I am very proud of my children, each in their own way. For the first child, I fought and fought and fought for years. I have had no other CPS involvement for 23 years. So for them saying I've had 22 years of not taking care of my kids, you are wrong. You are twisting and you are lying and you are causing people to see me in a totally different light. Why? What benefit do you get from that? I want to know. Where are they calling? Y'all got something to say about me. Why y'all not calling now? Miss Brown, Miss Whistler, Miss Berman. How about you, Batty? Where are you at? Because you haven't got out of my life for 3.5 years. You have taken and made sure to go on a mission to destroy me and forgot about those that love me. Where are you now?
No. And I just want to let everybody know, when Jamie was in a situation a couple of weeks ago, and, I am her advocate, and I was able to work with the family. I can say this. The family is very upset over the way that Jamie has been treated. And there was one voice that told me, crying, I just want them to leave my mother alone. I just want them to leave her alone.
My son has not cried since he was 2 years old. What he went through, all of you listen up. You made my son cry. How dare you? And that boy was there for me 100%. He did everything that Melissa needed and I needed. And if it wasn't for him, because of the situation I was in from the other child, I don't know if I would have been okay. That was a long, hard punishment for something that I really did not deserve. But I took it, and I took it with the help of my family, my mother, my pops, and my son. I'll say it. I'm proud of them.
Yeah.
So that was the hardest thing, is seeing and hearing. I saw him cry one time since then, and that was horrific. And then to find out that what he did in the conversation with you, Melissa, that hurts more than anything. And I want that to stop. So I've stopped going online. I stopped doing lives. I stopped saying anything. But aren't I not allowed?
You've stopped everything, and they still won't go away and leave you alone, and they're infiltrating your case. And this is one of the reasons that I wanted to do the show, was because, everybody is out there saying, well, I got this and I got that, and everybody's been documenting for years. Well, if you've got the documentation, whatever you have, send it over. Give it to Jamie. Give it to me. You can give it to this page. But we're going to make sure that this gets off Facebook and it's going to court, okay? We're done playing around. This cannot happen anymore. This has got to go to court. We've got to get it offline and get it into court. This just cannot happen any longer. This is ridiculous, folks.
I've been begging for help. I've been begging for these people that are standing by. Find it in your heart. If you don't like me, so be it. But I want you to imagine my children. I want you to imagine every week I see my kids, 3 times a week. Every time I have to leave, I want you to imagine their feelings, their face, what they go through. Every bit. My daughter is flunking. She was an A student. She made an A honor roll, and now she's flunking. They got ripped out of their home, and then against the first judge's orders, when CPS went on through an ex parte orders, they removed her from her school, the only school she's known.
Yeah.
And now she's making F. My son, it's not just me they don't see. They don't see any of their family, including they see their dad once a week. I allowed him to see them on a regular basis. And there's all these rumors around saying that I kept them. My son and daughter were at their dad's house Sunday, and they got removed Wednesday. They were there for 2 weeks. I don't agree with everything that Dad stands for or what he's done, but that is not my place to remove him from their life, nor do I want to. I believe in shared parenting, but I believe in us being the best we are. And let's speak of that. So we're in here, and we're supposed to be getting help, because CPS is the only place that can help us. I had my children in counseling prior. I had IEPs on my child and have had my kids in special needs. I have addressed every medical problem, from their teeth to any medical problem. They get regular checkups. They are of weight. They are not starved. In fact, we have plenty of food here, and we do have blessings that live next door to us who give us food every now and then. Is that wrong? Does that mean I can't take care of my kids? No. Just means I need a little help, like all of America right now.
Well, and Jamie, can I step in? I want to say something else about Connor and that whole situation, because, I think a lot of people fail to realize that, yes, like once you have kids, some people do just, step up and they're like, I'm the mom, or I'm a single mom, or even if they're not, if they're still married, it doesn't matter. But you know what? There is some situations, whether it be behavioral, environmental, schedule, it doesn't matter. The point is, there are some people who will put their pride and ego to the side to do what's best for their child, even if it's not be with them full time, so that their child can flourish. Like the people who give their children, I'm not saying this is anywhere near the same thing, but it's in the sense it is, because, like the mothers who feel, that there's no way out, they're not financially stable enough, or it was an accident, didn't mean to happen, and they put their children up for adoption. Most children, when they get older, are going to be there for their parents at that point, because guess why? They have an appreciation for that parent who did put their ego and pride to the side and did what was best for them so that they could succeed.
Right.
Yep. And that's
which is exactly why Connor's there and on your side now, because he knows that. He realized that. He understands that. You didn't just say, "Oh, here, I don't have time for you." No. You knew that he would be better off and succeed and just be, you know what I mean, at his dad's house. That doesn't mean you were completely out of his life. You just knew that full-time wise, staying the night wise, having a set schedule and everything else because of his medical conditions and his behavioral conditions, that was the best thing, because he is a young boy and he needed, probably with the behavioral problems with what he has come, a male figure to be the one, that he probably
was the only one in the
listen
house.
to more and would, just, how boys are though. And then if you put the medical problems on top of it, exactly, and and he needed that because of what he did have going on when he was younger and whatever. He needed the male influence of like, no, this is the schedule, we're going to do da-da-da-da-da-da. And you knew that. And it helped him to succeed by doing that.
And now I'll tell you what, my kids, this is where they belong. In my opinion, this
and I'm just
going
to be honest, I would honestly, let me just say this. If you weren't feeling like you were being, like if you felt like you couldn't do it or you, for whatever reason, you have already made that decision once before and knew and put your pride and ego to the side. So if that was the case now, I would trust that you would do the same again for these children to give them their best options and their best life. But that's what I'm saying. You're not trying to throw them off. I mean, you know what I mean? Or like give them away or just not have them because you just, like with Connor, like you just knew that would be a better environment. But like if anybody would do that, I have a feeling it would be you because you've already done it.
Yeah. Okay, so you spoke about my husband, my ex-husband coming here to live. I got sick. Whether anybody wants to believe it or not, just like my disability and my bad back, I went to the doctor today. I got the x-rays, like Danette says, facts, proof, and evidence. I got. So here's the thing. I got sick, and when I tried to hire a couple people to come in, it did not work out to help with my children. So what did I do? I moved the one person that really I didn't feel the most comfortable with into my home because that was their dad. And he, better than anyone, would take care of them. So I thought.
Well, and it was the best interest of them, not like the best interest of you or your feelings about him being your ex or like however it ended or why it ended. It wasn't about any of that. It was about my kids need the best. I'm doing this for the best interest of them.
When I couldn't get up because I couldn't get up, I needed somebody to get him to the left. I needed somebody to...
Trust me, Jamie, I know, because I can't tell you how many times I was on the phone with you, and I'm not saying that he was doing anything wrong, but remember how many times we were talking, and it's like he let them do something or keep continuing doing something that was something that you had already had rules and boundaries with before he came, and then it kind of caused, conflict of interest, I would say, or like, you know what I mean?
It's still, and it still is.
What's the theme of the show?
Yeah, we have another caller. Caller, do you have something to say? Or hello?
I want to know what the theme of the show was. What I had read briefly in the description page was that there was somebody named Jennifer Brown who illegally did something, I think, with kids. Or release some information about them. So I wanted to verify that.
Huh? Yes.
Huh?
It's been given to us that my court case that is confidential. I'm still not even saying the things that happen in the court. That's not anybody's right, and it's illegal to give out confidential information. And they are not a part of the case. That is a.
It was in a private Zoom feed where everybody had been sworn in before court. And then obviously someone who was sworn in that was not supposed to give any kind of information has sent Jennifer some sort of message that was sent to
video
to Live on Air, and it clearly shows that she's giving out information in the courts. Someone within the court system there, there's been a breach of something going on there.
So you're talking about
but beyond that, hang on. Why would she try to infiltrate a member of the court to get information on Jamie Johnson's case that's in a closed Zoom feed? So that borders.
Well, I don't know about the case.
Talking.
What I'm thinking is that you're saying that it's some sort of closed meeting. If this was a deposition or if this was inside the court, according to court proceedings. Okay, it was a court hearing.
It was a hearing.
Was it in front of it? Okay, was it in front of a judge?
Yes, absolutely.
All right, was there a transcription that's there?
I'm sure there is, and everything's recorded by the court.
All right.
Absolutely, and so we will be asking the
I have a
court to
question for you.
that.
There's something that's illogical.
Who are you? Who are you?
My name is Joe. I'm calling in because you got the show on the air. So
because we what?
If you have that, if you have a judge, if you have a transcriptionist, I think everybody there knows that if you do that, then it's public information. So
actually,
even though
it's a case for minors, and actually it's closed. It's not a criminal case.
That is not a criminal case.
This is not a criminal case, sir. This is a
child
in need of services.
This is family court, and it is not open to the public.
Okay.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes.
So the transcripts, whatever occurs in family court, then cannot be looked up by anybody because it's not a matter of public record then.
Yeah.
No, it's not. They're sworn in that when you go on a Zoom meeting, they tell you are not to release any of the information, and the judge that's his orders. It's family
all right,
court.
maybe they're not allowed to release it, but if I don't know much about the court system, but that's why I'm asking the question. I didn't know it was on. I didn't know if it was on Zoom, but okay.
Yeah.
So maybe the participants there are not allowed to divulge the information. But once they have the transcription and they put it into some sort of database, I'm assuming that database is open to the public because we have an open court system here in the United States. It's not. Okay. All right, then it's not. All right.
No, this is actually a CPS case where the documents are sealed. So it's not privy to the public.
Any transcripts have to be subpoenaed by the attorney for an appeal. That's the only time that would. I can't.
That would be open to the public.
The children's names and everything, lots of things are redacted when the court does release under subpoena. It's still redacted. So, and let me just say this. The screenshots that I have presented in this podcast are just a few that we have, that I have shown everybody willingly. But there are more. There's a lot more to this. And we will be going to the judge and asking for them to open up the investigation because there has been violations that have occurred within the court proceeding itself. And somebody, and it's like Jenny said, there are just a couple of people that were privy to the court hearing before lunch because the screenshot says, hey, guys, it's court's on lunch. So that person gave all kinds of information that was going on in the proceeding. Now, there's only a few people that were privy to that proceeding, and that is the judge. That is Jamie Johnson herself, her attorney. That was Tracy Dawson himself and his attorney, and that was Angela McFeely, the ongoing social worker, and that's it. 6 people. So somebody sent that to Jennifer Brown, and we're going to find out who it is.
This started with a hate group. Did they do everything? No. They keep pushing the fact that my family member did, and yada yada yada.
And I just for everybody's information, that caller, that call had dropped. Anybody can call back in here. I did not mute or send him off into Neverland.
No, I think
welcome
he
to call back
actually
in.
was getting. No, I think he was actually calling to try to have an aha moment, like he knew, and was trying to play like he didn't, be kind of smart.
Okay, well, I don't know who it is, but they're welcome to call back in. Anybody can call in here. I don't hang up on anybody. Now, the woman who accused me of child trafficking, of course, she's thrown out. I mean, that's just ridiculous. I've been an advocate for many, many, many years. Nobody's ever said anything like that towards me at all, ever.
Here's the thing.
I would like to just say I'm on a website right now for this. For legal wise, it says the only exception is if a police investigation or criminal prosecution is ongoing, then that would be available. But other than that, it is not. In Indiana, I am on Indiana.
Yep.
Well,
and it's not even at that. The transcripts aren't necessarily going to have every detail or imply that extra. Oh, they're going to tear apart.
Jamie, I believe with these Zoom feeds, they are just recording them, and they haven't been transcribed. But you can get them transcribed, or your attorney can. And of course that's added.
It was actually recorded.
But they're all recorded by the court.
Let me tell you why.
Themselves.
By the court, and I know this for a fact.
You have to be a party to the case to get a copy of that recording also.
I was accused of recording it. I was accused. And the judge herself, when one of the attorneys questioned who was recording, the judge herself spoke up and said, the court. It's right there. It said record on the Zoom. The Zoom is in place because of COVID. The Zoom is an actual hearing, just like if you were in there in the courtroom. So all the same rules and regulations apply to that.
Civil rules of procedure apply. Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so looks like the calls dropped. Jamie, I just want to ask you, what do you want? We've got 32 minutes left. Okay. What is it that you want people to know? And what would you like for them to do to help you in this?
First of all, this is the first time I've spoke on anything in a long time for fear. So don't think I'm not walking in faith today, because I do. I'm letting that fear go aside for my family. There are people out there that have and know and can. Number one, if you're doing it, stop. Please stop. Please stop making a game and enjoying hurting and harming my family. Let me do what I need to do. Let me and my family heal. Let me be a normal person and allowed to post, just normal things on my normal page. Or if not, because I still am not sure I'm going to be there. If you have evidence, if you have proof, if you know, I know that some people and some here saw the reality and had a change of heart. And they stopped doing what they were doing, and they decided to help. If you think I'm that bad and I need stuff, then lend a hand, That's one thing. Don't tear somebody down, me or anybody. Don't tear them down even more, because you know what you're doing is destroying somebody and making it worse. If you feel that I need to be better in something or whatever, offer me some referral, or advice. Don't expect me to take all of it or follow everything you want me to do, but at least offer it, because I'm a pretty reasonable person. And if you come to somebody in love, not hate, most of the time it goes over well. But if you are part of this, you've stood by, you've seen it, you've heard it, you have evidence, please, for my family, for my children, pass it on, because it's not just about me. Give it to us and allow us to use the court systems that you all are so proud of to make this person who is doing wrong have consequences. I had consequences last week or 2 weeks ago, did I not? Do I like what happened? No, but I faced those consequences, and I spent every night in there wondering maybe if I could have done it different. I have my reasons, because of everything that's around me. So all of the stuff that people are putting into one's life does affect them, does give them different feelings and emotions and thoughts. So this person is going to continue to do this, and it may not just be them putting this person on the platform like I was during Danette's trial, on the stand as a bystander. At least it's brought to light, and the judge can make the decision, or the courts can make that decision. I have a right to privacy. Just because I'm a public figure doesn't mean that every aspect of my life should be on blast. It shouldn't, and I don't put it there. So I have a right to the privacy. I have a right to feel confident in that courtroom, to come in and maybe I do need to say something. And I actually told this to my caseworker. You expect me to say anything when I can't trust that it won't be in the news, or on the internet next day, and twisted or tearing me apart? Somebody has an oath, and they did not uphold it. And would you want to go in that courtroom? Would you want that attorney or that caseworker or those people to be, or that advocate of a no excuse for abuse, to be the one standing there next to you or against you if that's the way they behave? It's not right. Like I said, Where are they all tonight? The only thing that they came at me at, there was no reasonable question. There was no reasonable proof, or there was just nasty, immature, childish name-calling and bashing. Is that really the world we live in today? Is it really what we are proud of and want to show our children? A lady said to me where I was this last week, I'm in here because I hit bitches like you in the face. And I thought, wow, that's something to be proud of, because that isn't how I want to. I want to be remembered for helping people and being kind to people and turning the other cheek when I need to. So, I would really like to see some of you anymore stand up, do what's right. As my saying was with my foundation is rise up, be above, show this world. You want to make America great? Let's make America love and be right. It's not about being great. It's about doing the right thing. It's time. I'm tired. My whole life has changed. And it's not right. I'll deal with it and I'll move on, and so will my kids. I will be getting my kids back. You mark my words. I am not doing bad in my case at all. So it's changed everything. It's changed my family, my son, my mom, my relationships. It's time to just let it go. I think one of those used to say that to me. Let it go. Let it go. Whatever hate, anger, horrible feelings, for whatever reason you have against me, get over it and let it go. And allow the sis to do what's right by presenting the evidence that you have. Because I know y'all are in there. There's been many groups, many people involved. And I have not once came after any of them. I have not once done anything to any of them.
Yeah.
Have I?
Not that I have seen, but I would really like to see people come forward with whatever information that they do have and that can be helpful. I know there's people out there that have been documenting this for years. And, right now is the time to do something with that documentation. Let's get it off Facebook and into the courts where it belongs. And, we have another caller real quick. Hang on.
Yeah, no problem.
It's just me. I'm back. My phone's a little frisbee.
Yeah. Okay.
And I just find it crazy that nobody else wants to call and say anything. I mean, how come so many people, literally, and we know this is a 24/7 stalking. Literally, they have groups that all the people in their stuff into, they have every video, recording, word.
Nobody else wants to call. Can I talk about something else then?
Yep.
Okay, well, I'd like to also talk about how, we kind of touched on it earlier, but how they made you, seem super fucking crazy. Excuse my language. Super effing crazy to, to CPS for one with all the calls, and then also to police, like, oh, they need to come in and check you first because you might shoot them or whatever the hell they were saying.
Right.
Anyway, I would also like to say that it did get so bad, and Jamie can definitely, back this up, that it had got to the point, like I said, where, when I was speaking with her and, I was hearing how, Clo was just, like I said, petrified to even go in the backyard to play because, somebody might come over the fence or somebody might take pictures of them over the, just crazy stuff. And it was very sad to me. And I was like, and I heard her say it. And it was just, that is, to me, is ridiculously horrible. You're the voice of these children, but yet, they're petrified because of you, literally, to even be kids and play in their backyard. And I had actually even contacted the police. I contacted because they had already had it, set up that she was crazy or whatever. This is before the kids were taken, obviously. And I had actually even contacted the police because there's another part of this that I don't really think has been, touched on completely. And now I'm not one of those, I'm not saying, oh, they all do it. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying that I do know for a fact that at least one officer is kind of part of it with his, Jamie, I don't know how to word it, but with his stalking of her Facebook and laugh reacting, and then that's it. He doesn't comment or anything, but we don't know if he tells them stuff. We have no clue. And he's actually a law enforcement officer, which, and so I had actually even contacted, did I not, the police department there, and I tried to explain to them because they had them talked into her being so completely nutso, and I was like, no, you're not understanding, they have, taken pictures of her car outside of her friends' houses. They've taken pictures of her car outside of their local grocery store. To the point now where actually being a good parent, she's actually had to at least, tell her kids some safety tips because of, the threat that is obviously there, to the point where, now her kids are petrified to even play in the backyard by themselves and be children and in their own backyard. And I had done all that, and he seemed, the one I spoke to, I will say, he seemed like that he wasn't obviously a higher upper person, and he seemed like he actually listened and was like, okay, da-da-da, and he, and one of the higher ups or whatever that had dealt with stuff, or maybe even with her, this situation before, was supposed to be calling me back. I never heard back from him at all.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
That's how I've been for 3.5 years. From every time that I did try, people say, well, she hates the police and this and that. Well, why does she call so much? Because that's their job. Their job is to be there to uphold the law and feel protected by them. I have friends.
Well, and not just that. And like I said, I wouldn't have even done that just because I do know at least, like I said, one officer that does, relentlessly, he stalks her Facebook and laughs at her posts or comments. I've seen it myself. So, and I didn't even really want to call, but when I heard Chloe, she was petrified. You guys have to do something. She won't even go play in her own backyard. That to me is ridiculous. Go do something. I don't care what it is at this point, but the poor child is scared to go into her own backyard.
But it's whenever I talk to Jamie's mother, she's heard the urban tape, and she has been over to a couple of groups. She looked around, and she knows the severity of the cyber stalking. And let me tell you, Jamie's mom is terrified of the stalkers, and she calls them predators. They're child predators. Now, those were her words. And I would have to, in my opinion, I would have to agree to that because this level of stalking has went way beyond anything that I personally have ever seen before. And, a lot of the times that they holler, well, Jamie needs to stop doing her videos and do this. Jamie stopped doing that. Jamie stopped advocating. Jamie stopped everything she was doing.
And like I said, it doesn't matter. That's what I tried to tell that first caller.
And
they won't stop.
And they're not going to stop. And the only way to stop them is we're going to have to, like I said, If
What
anybody's
does it
got
happen?
anything that they feel is important to a case, because we are going to take this offline and we're moving it into the courts. These ladies have got to stop, and the only way to stop them, I guess, because Jamie, you have asked, have you not? You've asked them to stop.
Yes, they use the terms.
And
when
they
my
won't.
children get molested,
So
when my children get
our
hurt.
only avenue here is to take it to court. That's it. That's what has to be done. So we're asking for anybody out there, you know, everybody says for years they've been documenting this, that, and the other. Well, we've got to get our case together and present. I do have a whole lot of stuff. So doesn't Jamie and a few other people that have been very helpful. But this is the only show that we're going to be asking you to turn over anything that you have because we are taking this to the courts.
And those that are involved in it, you listen here. You either go down with them or you come forward.
Right.
There's no other
right.
but like I said, these stalkers have used many times. You'll see this when Jamie's kids get molested, when Jamie's kids get killed. What does that mean? Because the caller on here, you've heard me with my kids, and not once have you said, "Have you ever heard a problem with my parenting, or the way I talk to them, or the way I treat them?" Yes, you only hear snippets too, but at the same time, nobody. If you've heard that, if you've seen me hit my kids and this and that, where is it?
Because if anything, hold on. In all honesty, let me just say this, Jamie. In all honesty, there's been times I've been on the phone with you, and like, well, I know, they're kids and they just, what I mean, they're always like playing and stuff, which is cute.
Mm-hmm.
But there's like, remember, I'm not going to say the situation because that's not for this, but I will say there was like a time where something had happened. I was on the phone and and I had to explain to her, like, no, you need to do this, this, and this, because if you keep doing this, like, they're, you know what I mean, they're going to keep doing it. So in my opinion, like, I wasn't telling her how to parent, but you know what I mean? I was trying to explain to her, like, I don't know, you're saying somebody is saying one of them is doing something bad and they do, or, what, they shouldn't be doing and they know they shouldn't be doing, yet you keep doing this when they do that. Mm-hmm. So basically they feel like if they keep doing it, they're going to keep getting rewarded. I had to tell her, like, no.
But it wasn't something life or death, correct?
No.
It was just a life.
No, but it's not something I'm going to put out there.
Right. And here's the thing.
It's not my business.
I will welcome another point of view because
I'm not gonna not put it out there because it's something horrible.
Yep.
I'm not gonna put it out there because it's not my business to tell. Okay.
Right. And I recall, but like I said, I only have one point of view. And sometimes as a parent, yes, we all get frustrated. Why would you not lovingly come to me and say, "Hey, why not try this?" And I did.
Well, the funniest thing was you weren't even frustrated. You were just like, "Yeah, we'll go," and I was just like, no, if you go do X, Y, Z, they're going to think like, oh, well, we can just keep doing it because then she'll just keep taking us to do this. And I'm like, no.
Right.
I wouldn't stop, you know what I mean, if it was me. And I'm an adult, but if somebody kept buying me stuff, I'd be like, hey, I'm going to keep acting a fool.
They were being rewarded in a sense and thought, well, it's kind of like I said, if they have bad behavior, they'll get something.
And like I said, it wasn't even really bad behavior because, in all honesty, let me just say, it was something that is, I don't know how to explain that, but it was something that was beyond their control.
Right. Okay. Gotcha. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
It was a medical situation.
Yes, beyond their control.
And instead of reward,
I would like to put that out there. So, you know what I mean? I could see why Jamie would have just been like, okay, well, we'll go do it because it was something beyond their control. But at the same time, I was like, well, if it's something beyond their control, but to maybe start scheduling to get it, maybe try to make it something that is try to maybe control better is like if maybe you didn't do this, this, and this, then they would have to work with what they got, which would make it a little more push in the right direction, I guess.
Give them the more of the accountability.
Well, just basically I'm not going to say no option but to not do it, because it's like I said, it was beyond their control. But you know what I mean? Just like maybe that kind of like slight little push in the direction of maybe helping, right? To help them.
Right.
That's what I felt. But I mean, and like I told you that day, I was like, I'm in no way saying like you're doing anything wrong. I can definitely understand where you're coming from, because it is something beyond their control. But at the end of the day,
and we still have that,
maybe that little push.
So
You know what I mean? But like I said, like it's not something I'm going to go and be like, well, I told her she should have done this and she didn't, and like now I'm going to just go post it everywhere. Like, it was just like, here's my opinion. You know what I mean? Like, well, this is my opinion. You don't have to take it. It's just my opinion. It's like this, everybody has one. Okay, that's it.
Right. And I guess that's the difference. Everybody's like, well, that's my opinion, and that's my. So I'm just talking about my opinion. You're right. Everybody is entitled to your opinion. That line, and that's what we're
and I
now.
came very nicely. I came, like I said, I came and just like, well, this is my opinion on that situation. It's not going to change anything. Like, you don't have to go with my opinion. Like, my opinion's also not gold. I'm not perfect either. I'm not Jesus.
Right.
You know? It's just so ridiculous at this point. And then the other thing is, Melissa, to go kind of back to what you were saying about her mom is like petrified of these people. Well, I would like to say that, like, honest to God, cannot blame her, because let's think about just like, you know, let's just even just one thing they've done, which was like post her grandmother's, I think it was her grandmother's house. Like, literally posted her house and her address, like, oh, I'm thinking about buying this house out here in the middle of nowhere. Isn't it cute? Da-da-da-da. Well, then when they went to check the house, it had been broken into and vandalized. Now, I'm not saying that it was them, but the coincidence was there. It's astonishing.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, you know, there have been a lot of problems.
I'm in no way saying that they did it. Now, I'm not saying that, but what I am saying is they posted the house, they posted a picture, they posted the address, and then the house was then broken into and vandalized. And I would like to say that it was just a very weird coincidence if it wasn't something to do with that.
You can have your opinion about somebody. You can get in a little group and state your opinion. But when you go searching for that person's family, that is cyber stalking. And that's been going on a long time.
And then when you take your opinion when you take your opinion and your opinion turns into not your opinion, but like I'm going to force my opinion in real life on this person by calling the police or CPS or whatever else, no longer an opinion. You're trying to be a dictator.
You know, Johnny, you've had some stuff mailed, right?
You're trying to be a dictator into somebody else's life.
Yes, my kids received masks from Miss Herman. Why would they go and seek out my ex-husband's mother? Why did they, look, just because my kids didn't have them on at that time, I'd actually come from my ex-husband's house.
And we have that evidence, too. We have the envelopes and everything. But go ahead, Jamie.
I have an autoimmune. It is not that I do not protect my kids. This was all new. My ex, I had picked them up from my ex's house. So you send them to the people that unfortunately didn't even put masks on them to begin with. Look, my kids, this whole mask thing was brand new, too. And in no way did I not, I have went into a store and bought my kids, masks before or something. We've bought masks that we didn't have. That does not mean that I don't care for my children. But that doesn't give you the right, because that caused a big issue and was the very beginning point of the CPS stuff. That was the last visit with my ex-husband right before they were taken that I did try to speak to the family member and was pretty much shoved away. You don't take and go against, an ex. It's an ex-mother-in-law, an ex-father-in-law. They're exes for a reason, and that's his mama or dada, whatever. They're going to, of course.
Well, that's exactly why they seeked his. That's exactly why they seeked his mother out. They knew what they were doing.
Right. And you caused
which
problems.
Is the same reason. Which is the same reason they stuck. They went to seek out the guy in Florida. They went to seek out his ex. They went to seek out her family. that they know what they're doing. That's the point. It's like you say, like, why would they go seek them out? They know why they're doing it. That's what they do. Like, that is literally, it's stalking.
Right.
And I don't just mean stalking. Like, this is like next level stuff. Like, this is a whole group of people stalking one freaking person. Like, it's like, duh. They would even know there's so many of them just for you that, like, everybody sits there and say, stop being an advocate, stop being online. You've done all that, and then when you did all that, what did they do? They went and took pictures of your van outside of a grocery store, took pictures of your van outside of Danette's house, went to, got, quote-unquote, this from the court to post about you. Yeah, went and chased him down or his ex down in Florida. They went and chased down, the kid's grandma. They went and literally, that's what they do when you are quiet. They have to then, you're not giving them any news, so they go seek it out to make some about you because, like, I don't know why, but they're obsessed.
And I don't know why either.
It's like that movie with Beyonce, Obsessed. Where the lady is like a crazy woman and she's like in their house and it's like, you don't live here. Like,
can you imagine? This is what I feel like. I feel like I'm standing in the middle and all kinds of these people are around me and I have one shield. Like you're saying, I can only battle so many and all of them are shooting arrows at me. I'm eventually, I can't ward them off. I'm not Thor. I'm not, yes, I talk about being a superhero to my kids. I am. But I'm not able to do that. So that is why. I know Danette said, Danette was very open-minded, did not choose to, either side or to choose to believe anyone. She sat back, as she said, and did watch. And in the end, she told me she had almost started to believe what they were saying because of this. How can so many people be saying the same thing and it not be true?
Well, and not just that. Let's
That's
be
what
serious.
they do.
Let's be serious. Before that, though, I literally, let's just say it, basically, well, I wouldn't say I was, like, on their side per se, but I didn't like you. But when I did get invited into one of the first secret groups or whatever, which, like I said, was named after somebody completely different, which is what I thought the group was for, but once I got in there, and after I was in there, I'd say I wasn't even in there but a couple weeks maybe, and I was like, this doesn't make any sense to me. The group is named, whatever, but yet literally every post is like, well, this is about Jamie or this or, saving and sharing her live feed in there so they had a hard copy themselves if she deleted it. And, oh, she said this and she made this comment. And they all had, like, all these freaking fake accounts that were friends with Jamie so they'd be able to get the stuff that was friends only. And, like, I literally watched them saying all that stuff in this group. And so I was like, after, like, I don't even think it was a couple weeks, I left because I was like, that's not why I was trying to keep up with I was trying to figure everything out with the other person who actually had a case or, and it's literally all about Jamie and stalking her. And, like, that's not what I came in here for. And even though I didn't like her, I also didn't want to stalk her.
You did not like her
right from wrong is the thing.
I didn't like her at all. On the record, I didn't like her at all. I talked crap to her, all that. She'll tell you. At the end of the day, though, when I got into this group, I was like, okay, well, I don't like her, but, like, if I don't like her, why would I only want to see stuff about her or watch her videos or what her comments say or what she did or what she didn't do? Or why would I want to stalk her? I don't like her, so I just left the group because I thought it was weird. Because it wasn't even named after her, so, like, why is it all about her? I thought it was about the other person.
Evolving into, it did start as I was, okay. And this started before
from New Jersey. Let's just say it, because that's the name of the person that was on the group. Yes, that's what I was following.
Right. And that's where I came in. But then it evolved into something and
that's who the group was named after. I just don't want to, bring anybody else into anything, whatever. Yeah. But that's who the group was named after, the New Jersey case, and everything was about Jamie. And I was like, okay, well, we don't like her, but why? So why are we, like, saving every video she posts, and, like, putting it in here so we have a hard copy in case she deletes it, and, like, oh, she said this in a comment, or, like, oh, this is friends only, but here it is. It's like, we don't like her. Why? If we don't like her, why do we care?
Okay, we got 5 minutes here. I'm going to give Jamie the floor. Thanks for calling in, folks. Jamie, you've got the floor now.
Thanks.
5 minutes.
I don't even know what else to say. It started. I never imagined my life here. I never imagined that wanting to help people through situations like what I had went through.
Yeah.
Just to try to help would ever put me in the situation where I'm at, ever. And it's. I hope, since I am here, that it'll change. It can make some change now. I can't go back and erase it. I can't change what I've done right or wrong. You know, I mean, I've lived this life, and I've done the best that I can, and still tried to continue to help. But I did not ever, and would never, put my children below anything else. My point of being here was to teach my children, like you said, what's right and wrong, to show them that you don't sit quietly while something of such a big injustice is going on. Somebody said, you know, my whole life I've heard you're too nice. Well, how do you be too nice? Isn't that what we're supposed to do? How come this world is so full of hate and we can't get over the hate to actually see what is happening? What is going on? Where is our world? Isn't it better if we all tried to actually help in the area that we can help in instead of smashing down the person next to us because that's not your area or you want in that area? Do the right thing, people, no matter what it is. I had a person that recently assaulted a female and was supposed to be somebody that was a friend, in quotes, somebody that I knew and I never thought would do that. But let me tell you what happened. I didn't just walk away like most people do. I didn't just turn the cheek and walk out of the neighborhood or the house. I made sure that that girl was safe, and then I went to that person and I made sure to address it and took care of it in the way that needed to be taken care of. Now, is that risky? Could that person have harmed me? Could I have gotten, if he's hurting somebody, could I have got hurt? Yes, but is that what's right? Do I knowingly walk away and then watch and then look on the news and the girl's dead? Come on, people. We're supposed to do what's right in this world, and that's all I was trying to do. I am not somebody that had all the skills, but that's what we do in life. We learn. But I did not deserve this. And I did not deserve to have my children messed with or my family. And I don't feel that any of you have really ever thought about the best interest of my children or any other child that's stuck in this system.
Right.
Just because you don't see it doesn't mean it does not exist or is not happening. If you can lend a hand just like today, give us the information. Make this kind of stuff stop. Help us make these laws stop or change. So 3.5 years, I'm warned.
You were saying, okay, we got a minute and a half here. You were saying about the children, and, it's like whenever I talked with your mother, and she was very upset to the fact that these people have called the police so many times on you. And her words, did they ever think what that was doing to my grandchildren? My grandchildren? Yep. She's very upset over all of this. You guys have no right to infiltrate this family in such a way that you have. Please stop it and do the right thing. If you have the paperwork or the screenshots, whatever you have, phone recordings, whatever, now's the time to turn it in, because we're taking this off of Facebook and we are going to court. So that's what this podcast is about, and thanks for joining us, Jamie. And you guys think about what's happening. And
I'll pray for all of you. I will. And I hope you pray for my family.
Do the right thing. Do the right thing. Everybody's been collecting it for years for a reason. All that documentation, hand it over. All right. Yep. We are out of here, and I will see you next time. Thanks, Jamie.
Thank you. Are you there?
Hang on.
Yeah.